How did you feel about the Lyric?
Yeah, that's right, the Acura Lyric.
At different speeds and different thermal loads, they'll open and close. We optimize the airflow and the
I think
aerodynamics.
that's really cool.
I think Tesla kind of set the precedent, and then Rivian followed suit.
People are constantly asking me, what else is out there? You want an electric car, you don't want to be like your neighbor. What are the options? Today we are looking at the Acura ZDX. We're going to talk to the engineers, we're going to talk to the designers, find out all the details straight from the experts. Today we're in California checking out Acura's first EV, its new crossover, the ZDX.
I mean, it's pretty fast, it's pretty spicy for the weight and compromise of powertrain.
Fast facts, the ZDX starts at $58,000 after incentives and climbs into the high 70s in its performance trim, the Type-S. That's the one we're driving today. So let's start out looking at the front of this car because it is really nice. I love what they've done with this diamond pentagon grille right here. It's an electric car. We don't need to have this big giant grille. This blends in nicely. It still kind of keeps the design language of an Acura. And then we have like this nice jewel eye right here, and those are the daytime running lights that go around the vehicle. We also have LEDs on the side of the vehicle and on the back that we're going to get to in a second. Now again, this is all electric. So up front, right here, we have your charger. We have the J1772, we have the CCS. Now they are going to be getting the NACS adapter. And I also like that it's up front. To me, that's something that makes it a little bit easier when you go to charge, having it right up front. EPA range will be as high as 313 miles in non-performance models. Now, it has a lot of similarities to the Lyric. It has the same platform. It's GM Ultium platform, so the same battery pack, and the dimensions are almost identical to the Lyric, but that's pretty much where the similarities stop because they have completely spec'd this to be an Acura. Acura's decision to go with GM's Ultium platform was twofold. One, it brings their first EV to market much sooner, and two, it ensures that the EV qualifies for the $7,500 US tax credit. So let's head over here. These are the largest wheel and tire package that they've ever offered on any vehicle. They have 22-inch wheels. These are the summer tires. They do come with an all-season tire, and they have Brembo brakes on them, 6 pistons. I love that they've painted the calipers in this bright yellow. It just really pops out, feels very sporty, very in line with its Acura sport vehicle. Type-S will be one of Acura's most powerful cars with 544 pound-feet of torque, which is more torque than even its hybrid supercar, the NSX. You're gonna notice these really nice sporty LED lights that wrap around, really nice wide athletic stance, and then we have the badging on the back of it. They've added E for electric. Now, if you are a die-hard Acura fan, you might remember ZDX. They had another vehicle back in 2010. It only lasted 3 years, and that was a gasoline car. This is all electric. The only similarities are just ZDX, that's it. Now let's go ahead and open it up, look at the cargo capacity. They've also taken some inspiration from Tesla, it seems, as Acura plans to deliver these Type-S models with key cards, in addition to key fobs. Though I found it odd that the key card option is only available for the pricier Type-S trim and not the base A-spec models. There's also no phone key option for the ZDX, though the engineers I spoke to hinted that it's something that might be in the works. I'm adjusting the volume, or skip song. That's actually kind of nice. I like that. For scale, here's how the ZDX dimensions stand up side by side with the Model Y. The two EVs are near identical in height and width, but the Acura is more than 10 inches longer than the Model Y. With seats up, the ZDX offers 30 cubic feet of cargo capacity, identical to the Model Y. With seats folded, that number increases to 63 cubic feet, falling behind the Model Y, partly because of a few design differences. A lot of EVs actually give you a well right here above the wheels that you can use for extra storage. And this one is the performance variant. So if we look down here, we actually have an air compressor. This is for the air suspension in the performance variant, but the base A-spec actually gives you a deeper well, so you have a little more storage in that model. Oh, look at this. So there's 3 interior colors. We have like a white, a red, and a black. And earlier we saw the white. This is the red. Like, this is really nice. I really like this. It feels so premium and real leather. I mean, one thing I'll say is obviously a lot of people like the vegan leather because it's vegan, but I don't feel like it holds up quite as well as real leather. There's something about real leather where it's easier to clean, doesn't stain, and I don't know, it just feels premium. I have to say it. I'm not gonna lie about it. And this, oh man, I thought I liked the white. I think I might like the red. I honestly think I might like the red more. I love this. Look at this in the red stitching, the detail. This to me feels luxury, okay? I'm almost getting like Bentley vibes. I like this. As you guys might have noticed, now we have a white car. We're kind of trying them all out, looking at the different colors, the different options right now. But let's take a look at the second row. I have kids, that's always really important to me. First impressions though is there's a lot of space back here. You can see all the legroom that I have. You could definitely put a car seat, have it rear facing back here, have enough room for the driver. Also, you might say I'm 5'5", but I did see some larger adults, men that are like 6 foot sitting back here, and they had plenty of space. This thing opens up, it vents and it opens up. And I will say when you look at other crossovers, this one feels big, as big as any of them I've seen. It feels very wide. And look at this, you have a 60-40 split. So you can still have someone sitting back here. You could have like a dog crate or be carrying a lot of big, you know, skis, whatever you want to carry back here, and still have someone sitting in the second row. And then if you have kids, we have the latch system. Super important, makes it so easy for car seats. I feel like you could probably fit 3 car seats across. I would love to be able to take this home and test that out. But you know, you have 2 kids, you want to separate them. Cup holders, lots of cup holders. We have 2 here. We have 1 in each door. You know, the extra little pocket, which I really like it when cars have this. We have 2 USB-Cs. We have the 110, and they can control all their own climate back here. All the air. You don't have to hear them saying, I'm too hot, I'm too cold, complaining. And they can adjust it all. Very comfortable seats. And just feels premium. I'm digging this red. So look at this. Look at this. So if you're wanting to camp, you could sleep back here. Now I'm 5'5". Anyone taller than me is gonna have a tough time because your head's gonna hang over a little bit. But, you know, if you're not too tall, you could definitely camp back here. If you don't mind like having your knees bent, you could camp back here. It's pretty comfortable. Also, you can see we have all the top tethers back here. I do wish you had those wheel wells. I use those in my cars, that extra space. Look at this. What's inside here? We have the 12 volt right here. You can manually move the seats up and down, but you do have buttons right here. So you don't have to go around to the second row to actually open and close them. It's kind of nice to be able to have that right here as well. Now, you do not have a front trunk in this vehicle. That's something, if you guys know, I really like having a front trunk. Let's see what's up there though. Right. Under the hood of this vehicle, I mean, there's not a lot going on, or you could say there is a lot going on because everything's kind of pushed up here. This is where you change your wiper fluid. So one of the engineers earlier told me that they essentially moved everything up to the front to give you more cargo space in the back. You do have a little bit of a crumple zone right here. It feels like they could have slightly like pushed this back a little bit and given you a tiny little, you know, spot. You could have fit takeout or something up here, but they decided not to do that with this vehicle. Can still open it up though. You have access to your wiper fluid and whatnot, but that's pretty much it. All right, so let's take a look inside the ZDX. So the door of it right here, we have 2 different seat controls. You can control the mirrors on the side of the door. Go ahead and put my seatbelt on. It's a push button to start it. Right away, the seats are incredibly comfortable. They're heated, they're ventilated. These are real leather. Again, this is the Type-S, so this is more of the premium. Okay, so we do have some buttons, some knobs to control the volume, the AC, and then you also have the center screen. So there is a little bit of redundancy, but it's nice. It's a way for the new and the old to kind of blend together, and I think that is what Acura is trying to do with this vehicle. We have 2 USB-Cs right up front. You also have a 12 volt. You have a little area right here that you could actually put 2 smartphones right here. If you want to charge your phone, There's a little charger and big cup holders. Now these are big enough to be able to put a big Stanley cup, which is really nice. A lot of the small cup holders, you can't fit your big water bottle inside there. You have a lot of extra storage right up front. There's a little light in here. No charger inside of here though. But you do have the bridge style, which I always love because it gives you a space to put your purse right up front. On the steering wheel, we also have some of the controls for voice control, volume, your gap distance right on the steering wheel, and also your speed. And then on the side, I don't know if you guys can get this, but this is where you have your different drive modes, parking, lane centering. You'll also find your air suspension. Now for my taste, there were a bit too many buttons in the cabin, but again, I'm coming from a Tesla, and on our drive, PJ and I definitely had thoughts on this. I feel like both the drive mode selections and air suspension buttons on the lower left side was a bad location. I'd prefer drive modes on my steering wheel and suspension in the center screen. Even though this is touch screen, you can't go between the modes just by touching, you have to toggle. Now once you get into your modes like individual, then I can press over here and adjust that mode setup. Also, the air suspension variances, which drop from 15 millimeters when on sport mode and rise 25 millimeters when on snow mode, felt very subtle and were almost undiscernible when activating. We're coming from Tesla. We have everything, all the controls on the center screen. Now with this, with the Acura, we have a lot of dials, a lot of buttons, a lot of options to do multiple things.
Well, you've got access to everything from the screen perspective, including, you know, HVAC and volume, but you also have dials dedicated to HVAC and volume. And I think Tesla kind of set the precedent, and then Rivian followed suit with having only screens. So for people maybe that are coming from those two EVs that appreciate that, maybe they're going to find this kind of a little, you know, going back in time for them. But I think for everyone else, and Acura obviously has its own large following as well, for those coming into the EV space, this is a really good balance of having screen interface, but those two options, really HVAC and volume being your buttons that are available to you at all times.
It's interesting though, because I feel like when you do get used to just having it on the center screen and then you go back to buttons, it's almost more confusing for my brain.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, where do I look? Where do I go?
It's just a matter of acclimation and adjusting to that. And I think that's Acura's taking the stance that people are coming in from not having had screens. Maybe they're already Acura owners, you know, from the MDX or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So that kind of gives you some level of familiarity with this.
And that's also like, who is the buyer for this vehicle? Are we looking at Acura Honda drivers, or are we looking at people who are just in the market for an EV?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you firsthand, and we're working on a video with a neighbor who's shopping for multiple EVs, and they're adamant. They know that Tesla gives you the best bang for your buck, but they're adamant that they're not going to get a Tesla because every third house in our neighborhood is driving a Model Y.
Right.
So that's, I think, where the separation comes. Not everyone wants everything that Tesla offers for that price point, right? You know, the premium nature, you're not going to find that in this spec and quality level in the Tesla, but then of course you're going to find higher charging speeds with the Tesla.
Yeah.
This gets the supercharging network when that rolls out with adapters here in the next 12 months, but then peak charging speed is 190 kilowatts, so that charging output. So really, those are things that I think the die-hard EV fans care more about, and the average person moving into EVs wants, you know, some of these, and maybe not all the tech.
So Tesla diehards always make that call. There's like, for the value of the money, you can't beat a Model Y.
Yeah.
Do you think that the premium nature of this vehicle justifies the price point?
I think it's right in line with what you'd expect. You know, this spec is $73,000. It does qualify for the $7,500 federal incentive. So at the point of sale, that drops down to the $66,500 range. So at that price point, I do think with these features, it's there. Now the range on this particular, you know, performance model is 288 miles, I believe, in the 280s. That's on the lower end for maybe some people who are used to the Teslas.
Now this is one area where I both agree and disagree with PJ. I feel like the higher end Type-S trim does justify the price point, but the lower A-spec trim levels are left in the dust and miss out on a lot of features that I think should be included in a $60,000 EV in 2024, like keycard access and basic driver assist features, to name a few. All right, look who we ran into here Same car event.
Hey guys, it's Kyle, and we have a video probably going on the same time you do, so check out a-spec, it'll be on there.
Yeah, his review will go into, I'm sure, all the details, nitty gritty, everything. But I kind of want to get your take on driving it. We both had some time today to drive it. How did you feel about the Lyric?
Yeah, that's right, the Acura Lyric. And what's interesting from my point of view is, okay, I always try and, of course, talking to John Wong, the engineer, the origins of a car are really important. And this was a car that was ordered off of a spec sheet menu from GM. So Acura approached General Motors and said, okay, we want these attributes in a vehicle. And they said, okay, we have this platform, which was the Lyric was the donor car with all of these individual components. So they took the air suspension from the Euro Lyric. They had the big brakes that are presumably going to be on the Lyric V. And so it's really a GM product that Acura contracted to make. Does the general buyer of a ZDX even know what a GM product drives like or feels like? Probably not, and they're probably already within the Acura bubble, and so does it matter? I don't know. As someone who drives everything, to me it's annoying. I was like, why does it have OnStar and StabiliTrak and all of these things? But as a car itself, like you mentioned, it's incredibly solid. I mean, it weighs 6,000 pounds, so thing's a brick going down the road. And it is pretty fun. I mean, it's pretty fast, it's pretty spicy. For the weight and compromise of powertrain, I thought it drove really nice. Air suspension does a great job just cruising down the highway. It was really awesome. But the biggest disappointing things for me were the Acura Watch 360, whatever, Super Cruise, is only on the top spec version, which is only going to be 15% of ZDXs, they say. So the standard car will not have any lane centering. They say it has active lane keeping, but it's ping-ponging.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
so I haven't driven that one before, and when I talked to them, they said it had some kind of lane keeping and
Yes,
things
they
like
brand
that.
it so they make us think that it does lane
so you've
centering.
driven it, and it's ping-ponging.
And
Okay,
it
that's
just,
interesting.
you hit a line, pushes you in. But I'm like, it's 2024, that's a $64,000 car. It's got to have lane centering. What's going on? And no one seems to get it on the Acura team. I'm like, this is so important. A base Model 3 comes with autopilot. What are you doing? And then the other thing I did was I took it to a charging station and juiced it up, and it was very poor charging performance. So this is maybe more of an around town car or a daily driver or a commuter, but you'll see it in our video. We did a charging test and it just was awful.
How do you feel? So some of the cars I have not driven that I know you have, you've done like the Honda Prologue and you've done like the Chevy Blazer. I haven't driven either of those. I've done the Lyric, and obviously it's same car. How do you feel like it is compared to those?
Well, yeah, so Blazer and Prologue are the same same base platform, slightly shorter wheelbase, but honestly very similar in mannerisms, similar steering and everything. The Prologue is was my pick over the two. I thought it looked great. It's the small battery, so if you're going for the smaller range one, that might be the one to have. I think they lease out pretty well. They look great. Very similar software to this vehicle. And Ultium is solid. I think we're past the software issues stuff. I was really critical of Ultium early on, of like, you have to deliver a car that works. Finally, I've now done about 10,000 miles in Silverado EV, which is similar, software architecture to this vehicle. They've gotten out of those problems. And let's just hope they support the car into the future. Same with Prologue as well. Like, there's no guarantee of software update cadence. There's no guarantee of what can be unlocked. We've been asking for pet mode. We want dog mode so bad. So, yeah.
It's hard though, because you go to like pet mode and things like that, and it's, these are things like we see Tesla and Rivian and like these really tech-based companies having. So it's hard to, I feel like, put that on some of the other car companies quite yet, because I think if you're going for like what is your top choice, those are going to be it. But then at the same time, a lot of people are like, I don't want those vehicles because everybody has them.
Sure, yeah.
So if you're looking for something else, do you think that this is something that people should look at?
I just don't think something else would come with so many compromises that the ZDX has. I would much recommend an Audi e-tron, even used, especially used. You can get used iX, used e-tron, used Mercedes EQE for so much less money than this, and there's so much more car.
I think that there's like nothing wrong with it.
Nope.
Like we said, it was fine. It was great.
It's actually kind of fun in the canyons too. Like, it rips pretty hard if you want it to move.
I did. I enjoyed sport mode. It was great. I am a little bit older than you are, so for me, I had this nostalgia associated with Acura. So I feel like people my age might also be like, oh, this is cool. I want an electric car. I can kind of bring that in there. Have the Acura. So I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we'll
Sound
have
system
to see.
rocks though. That's one thing
true.
I always knew Acura for, was banging sound systems, and
Yeah.
this thing rips pretty hard, so I was pleased with that.
That's true.
Yep.
That is true. So we'll have to see. What do you guys think? Let us know down in the comments.
The thermal requirements or the cooling requirements are very different for an EV. We only needed the lower part open. And then even though it's open, you can see diverters here to flow the air into the exact compartments or heat exchangers that need the air. And also there are active shutter grills there, so at different speeds and different thermal loads, they'll open and close or vary the amount that they're open. So that way we optimize the airflow and the
I think
aerodynamics.
that's really cool. So it actually, when you're going at higher speeds, it will close. So you have that aerodynamic design where the air can flow around it, as opposed to kind of like stopping the airflow, slowing the car down.
Yeah, because you really don't want a lot of turbulent air inside the compartment there. We worked with the designers on every fillet, every radius, just tuning every surface. So the computer simulation guys, the guys working on the clay model in the wind tunnel, and the engineers working on every fillet, every shape to just maximize the airflow. The way these shapes are here and how it kind of clearly breaks, so you want to make a big separation and not have the air just circulate under here.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was really a lot of work. And kind of this was one of the last things we did here. This is kind of funny. No one will ever see it, but this shape right here, where this line terminates and where it is, that took months to do, and was one of the last things we did to meet the aerodynamic target.
Okay.
And even though it was something you can't really see, we had to work with the designers and the engineers and the wind tunnel guys. It was a lot of fun, but finally, 313 miles of range.
313.
Yeah.
So all these little things that you guys have added really kind of separates this vehicle from like the Lyric or the Blazer, even though it has, you know, the same, you know, underbody, the same platform.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously, you know, as a collaboration and a joint development with General Motors, a lot of the lessons and learnings are GM based because it's their platform.
How do you keep like Acura, like the brand of Acura and the look of Acura, when you are working together with GM? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
how
I
were you
think-
able to do that?
Yeah, and I think you guys understand really well how flexible and how open an EV platform is, you know, that skateboard design. So GM has a great Ultium platform, so we were able to really define what we wanted the top of the car to look like.
So can we talk a little bit about the battery in
Yeah.
terms of, now it does have a heat pump in it.
Yes.
So we have that open design you talked about where it will help cool the battery. And then inside we also have some unique features like the heated seats. We have heated steering wheel.
Yeah, and they're linked to the climate control, so whenever, and ventilated seats.
Okay.
So depending on the outside climate and what temperature you want the inside to be, it'll automatically turn on those features. Yeah.
Right.
So actually, when you start driving this morning, the heated seats and the heated steering wheel might come on. It just depends on the temperature you've set inside. This is 102 kilowatt hour usable. And then this is an all-wheel drive model with 499 horsepower, 544 pound-feet of torque. It's just loaded with all the features.
loaded,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so this one, the Type-S, has 278 mile range. And then the a-spec rear-wheel drive is 313 miles of range.
Are there any future plans to make like a phone key?
Yeah, those are things that are I think every OEM is actively working on, and we're studying that as well.
All right. And then what about plans as far as Acura goes to build their own platform? Are they going to continue to use GM or that collaboration with GM, or are they also working on their own platform?
Yeah, so Acura is Acura and I guess Honda.
Honda, yeah.
Overall, yeah, we have our own plans for our own cars, but you know, we're always looking for collaborations that'll help both sides, right? So this is this product is a win-win for both companies because we get to add scale, we get to ramp up faster, and kind of share the cost of the development, so it becomes a win-win for everyone.
So you've had a chance to drive it a little bit now. We've both had some opportunities. We're back inside of a white one again. We've tried them all out this weekend. This was a cool weekend. So Acura invited us to Santa Barbara to see the cars. This video is not sponsored by them. You drove it for maybe only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But within that time, what do you think?
I'm impressed. You know, it's one of those EVs where when people ask us which non-Tesla EV, and you'd be surprised how many people come up to us and say, I like Tesla, but I want something different. And then we're left with just 2 or 3 options. And Rivian often is at the top of that list, but of course the class of vehicles they currently offer don't fit everyone. So when it comes to crossover SUVs, the Lyric has been both of our recommendation from all of the videos we've done. This comes in with essentially the same platform, but then has completely a refined interior. Of course, the exterior is also original to this new ZDX.
Overall, I think it's a solid EV, though there are some sacrifices that you have to make. And this is a vehicle I would recommend splurging for the higher trim Type-S model and not the base A-spec.
The range and the price are the first two things people are going to look at. And generally around 300 miles is what they're estimating. We'll see if exactly how that plays out. Is it going to be 350 or is it going to be 220? Because that's kind of the mix bag we get with a lot of EVs. So some of them are spot on. So if this is spot on, 300 is pretty compelling. The price, about 60 to 66, depending on the trim level you get after incentives. Once again, I think that is pretty compelling for the quality that you're getting inside this cabin.
What I do like is that Acura is entering the electric game, which gives everyone more options. I've been a fan of Acura since I can remember, and I really love the sporty interior that both looked and felt very premium. Let us know what you guys think about it, what you thought about the interior, the exterior, some of the features that we talked about today. Let us know down in the comments below, and thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and we'll catch you next time.